And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Ricky Hampton with my great friends Tree McDougal and Tim Turner coming to you on a Tuesday evening. Hope everybody had a great day. It's great to see you two guys. How's everybody doing?
I have no complaints whatsoever. Timothy?
It's all good here, sir. After a great weekend of basketball and hockey highlights, and throw a little baseball in there, it was a good sports weekend.
Yeah, definitely a good weekend, and I'm excited for the show tonight. We're going to be joined by our great friend Kim Davis, a Houston sports journalist. She covers everything down there, and she's been busy lately. Unfortunately, the Rockets fell in 7 games to the Golden State Warriors the other night. She had to draft, and now I'm sure she's getting into baseball. But she's going to take a few minutes out to join us, and then we'll go back and get her thoughts on the draft and on the playoffs. But right now,
the reason she's not with us now is she's at a private dinner, with the new owners of the Houston Dash of the National Women's Soccer League. So Houston has a brand new franchise, I guess, in that league. So she's there finding out more about the Dash. So women's professional soccer is alive and well.
Women's sports is on the move. I mean,
Yay, women.
Did you see? I think last night, was it at Iowa, that the Caitlin Clark's game at Iowa, an exhibition game. I think they played Brazil. I'm not sure of the team, but it outdrew the finals for the WNBA. Is what I understand in rating.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Commodity.
How did it compare to the Met Gala? Because that's what I was watching.
Well,
and other fashions.
Compared to the same thing. I mean, corn silos, and then you got people wearing silos as clothes. So.
No, pianos. Get it right.
Yeah, pianos, silos, feathers, comforters, all of it. Everybody had a different fashion last night. But there were a lot of athletes involved in that, Rick.
Yeah, and I got some video of that. Before I go to that, I do want to just mention they had 22,000 people at that game in Iowa City last night, a couple of nights ago.
It's impressive, yes.
Yeah, I mean, she is they love that Hawkeye.
They definitely do.
Yeah, let's see if it ever translates into some better paychecks for the ladies going forward in the.
I would hope so.
But we were talking about the gala and who's doing what. Hey, Trey, why is the Met Gala such a big deal every year? As we look at Dwayne Wade and his wife Gabrielle Union from 2022, this picture.
Well, it's a fundraiser, first of all, for the Costume Institute, I believe. And I think that it's a big deal because it's a chance for celebrities and athletes and, all those who care about fashion to come together. But this year was, I think, particularly impressive because, as you see on the screen there, is from Monica Miller's book, Slaves to Fashion, about Black dandyism, which I'm sure Tim knows a lot about. But, it's everything from zoot suits to Dapper Dan to just embracing Black style and fashion. And so I think that there's the fundraiser element of it, but it's also, it's a little bit of hip hop in there. And just and this guy that you see in kind of the bottom corner right now, he was kind of the face of the magazine for it. He still works at like a store or something, but he's so it just embraces fashion as a whole. And I love fashion. We all like to dress ourselves in a particular way, and there's just kind of everything from Frederick Douglass to and just how he, I think I understand he's the most photographed person of his era, right? Maybe ever time.
Rick Douglas was?
Frederick Douglass was, yeah. And so
Wow.
he understood the power of the photograph and the imagery and dressing. And so, you know, anything from do-rags, you know, I've been reading about it, and do-rags, which Tim, I don't know how you feel about it, but you know, there's some messaging behind that. And so I really encourage people to, if they, you know, it's not just the fashion, it's really about the history of fashion for Black individuals.
Well, we're doing a fit check here, and this is a high fashion. And hey, when I go out, I like to look nice, but the brother in the middle, I'm just not feeling this.
Well, I mean, that was of the era, right? And so everybody.
But I never saw anybody with I can't.
In an Adidas tracksuit. I think that's an Adidas. It looks like.
But he got his. It looks like a dress shirt hanging out from under. I never put it like this. I never saw anybody walking around with that.
Maybe not in Michigan, but I guess it depends on where you live, right? And so style is subjective, and it's what makes people feel how they want to represent themselves. Yeah. And so I don't know the story of that, but that guy right there, I think, is amazing. He looks great. And yeah, there's so many style inspirations.
Is that the gentleman that wrote the book about dandyism?
No, he was just a model that they hired for that. But the book is by Monica L. Miller.
Okay.
Slaves to Fashion, talking about dandyism and how Black people use their style for, you know, expressing themselves and their power. And so it's, you know, sometimes it's different. Every year is a different theme, but this year resonated, I think, a lot with African Americans. Whether or not you cared about fashion or not, it was about Black fashion. Sorry, what, Tim?
I'm saying these are years. They're showing the years past, because the gentleman in the black this is last year. That's Lewis Hamilton, F1 driver, and he's a co-chair of this year's Met Gala. And next to him was a guy that was last year, I think, with
That's at the Olympics.
James. He didn't show up this year, and he used an injury as a reason as him for not being there, and he caught heat because he didn't show up to the gala. Okay.
He was a co-chair, though. I thought I read that he was a co-chair.
Yeah, he was a co-chair. I'm seeing honorary chair there, but I heard him say co-chair in an interview earlier today. He started out as just being a sponsor, and he sponsored like 6 different designers because he wanted to promote the style. And that's Lou right there in the different years, in a different year that he's worn. So, and he had sort of like an all white outfit for this year. Yeah, so he's into high fashion in a big way. There were several celebrity athletes there. I think Simone Biles was there with her husband. He had Gabrielle Union there with her husband, Dwayne Wade. He had Serena Williams in a long flowing gown.
And Venus, I believe, yeah.
Well, I didn't see Venus's picture, but Venus probably was there as well. So there were different sports were represented at this event. So it's not just for actresses and people like that who are in the fashion business, but also athletes who appreciate style. Now there's a picture I saw, but before I came left the office today, I was reading. I just saw the headline and I saw a picture of Jalen Hurts and his wife, and it was of course the website was Fox News Channel, and it says
go ahead.
Fans give Hurts, fans upset with Hurts for going to the gala and skipping White House.
Well, they'll get over it.
Yeah, I'm just like, this was about Black style and how they interpreted it. And so people have a choice of where they want to, like we all have a choice, right? Of what things we want to participate, go to, what's important to you, what you care about, what issues. And then also, I understand it's $75,000 per ticket for this. And so if they haven't paid for it, some designer has bought a ticket and invited people at their table. And so that's how sometimes people get there. So
I-
if you got a hookup, let a sister know, because I would love to go. I don't have, I'm just saying, if anybody got a hookup, let me know.
I just want to leave it right here for a second and give Hamilton a shout out, because
Yeah.
he's regarded as the greatest Formula One driver in the world today, right? I mean, he's definitely one of the premier-
He's flipped the past couple of years, but he's generally he's not one. He's 1A because
Yeah.
he's pretty successful in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he the first African American of African descent to rise to that status in that sport?
I think so. I mean, the only other brother I think behind the wheel was this guy Willie. I think it's Willie Ribbs.
Willie T.
I think
Ribbs.
his name. It was with NASCAR back in the day, and then now you have a Bubba. Bubba Wallace is out there now. Is the only other brother on that.
That's NASCAR.
Yeah. So you don't have anybody in F1 at all, and pretty much he catches. There are people who don't even want him in that because there've been some fines for some other owners who have spoken disparagingly about him, just based along racial lines. So it doesn't make a difference what sport it is. Even if you're excelling, people will always try to find a way to try to put you down.
It follows you, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And here's Queen Serena.
Yeah. And so I encourage, people should go back and now look at what they did in this year and see how their style has either evolved or so it says like in 2024 with designers.
See, this man right here needs to spend more time with free throws and jump shots. Ben Simmons, who's been an absolute.
Why would you even say? I'm sorry. How's that? Why is that taken away from his? Yeah,
if you don't excel in your sport, you don't need to be doing nothing else.
Maybe there's another avenue for him past. Maybe he's like, okay, maybe I can't do. Maybe he's looking for a different path. Maybe his style. I don't know. But
you know what, Tim? I hate to say this, but Tim is right. I guarantee you.
I'm not.
I'm just telling you what.
Yes, he should be
Not that I
working on
agree
his jump
with
shot. Yes.
Not that I agree with it, Tree, but I guarantee you, when brothers see Ben Simmons was at the thing, they're gonna say, "Oh, did he get hurt going up the steps?"
Exactly.
I
Because the
mean,
brother's been hurt like forever and a day. He's been hurt. He's like, did he bust his wrist carrying this big Timex in his hand? This
It's
first
not
Timex
fair.
wrist. Did he
All
hurt
right.
himself?
So.
I'll
Okay.
move on, Tree, because
Oh,
it's not fair. But
killing me.
You got to be good at what you do. See,
Not
Brittany-
necessarily. There's
there you go. Brittany Griner can do that.
I'm just saying, sports
She's
and
good.
style.
She's
I don't know.
good, so she can show up there. Okay.
So if they miss a jump shot, they can't show up at some event that they've been
No, but
invited
it's not
to.
about missing a jump shot. It's about how about you making one?
Okay, so they can't make one. They can't show up at where they've been
it's
invited
not
to.
fair, Tree.
No,
That's a lie.
perfect your craft.
Look, boy, bye.
Your craft.
You know what, though? I have to agree with Tim there. I think when you excel at your craft, I mean, that gives you a little deference. This man honestly has earned no deference. I mean, he has missed an untold amount of games over the past few years. And when he's played tepidly, and he was on a really good team in Philly,
Right.
and cost them a chance to maybe win a championship.
Oh my
So-
gosh. They should have
so
beaten
you-
the Hawks. They should have
Maybe
beaten
he's
the
trying to
Hawks.
pivot into something different. It's like
But
I can't
I'll go
play
back
well.
and say,
I can't
I'll go
play
back
well,
to
so I
say-
need to look at something else.
well, I think Brittany and her wife looks great in this outfit.
I didn't see
and-
Brittany and her wife this
Yeah, this is from 23.
most
But
recent
my
one. So.
admiration, you talk about a person's, my admiration for her has grown tremendously after how she dealt with her time in that Russian prison.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you guys saw some interviews. She had made up her mind. You know what? I'm gonna have to do these 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was her mentality, and thank goodness she got out of that mess. And
Well, you know, she's now an Atlanta Dream. So
oh, is she?
yes, she is. So she's one of Atlanta's own now. So we're good with her.
Stefan Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. He was there again this year as well. He was decked to the nines. See, Stephon is an outstanding receiver in the NFL. He can do that.
I don't think that's true.
Odell Beckham, Super Bowl champ.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that theory. Like if somebody's, yeah, why can't they have fun off season or whatever? Anyway,
Well, I tell you what,
I disagree. Homeboys.
If there's anybody who don't have to explain herself being at the Met Gala, is this young lady.
Wow. I mean, she had a busy weekend because she also called the horses to get to the stables to the starting line at the Kentucky Derby on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been a busy person, and she could do whatever she wants to do. Whatever she wants to do. She's the greatest gymnast of all time, and bar none. Here we go. The GOAT of tennis can go every year as well.
Yeah.
So you're saying only if they excel in their sport they should be allowed to go?
Absolutely.
I don't agree.
Otherwise, you're saying, why are you here? Go do something.
Because they were invited.
Okay. All
By
right.
someone. All right. Moving on. We're this is not even a case where I agree to disagree. We just disagree.
Yes.
I like fashion.
Just
So.
Looking very, very dapper.
I just love the story of the Williams sisters and what they've been able to accomplish. And we're gonna have Kim Davis here. Kim has a great tennis background. I'm gonna ask her a little bit about Coco Gauff and
Right.
how she thinks she's progressing, because the comparisons are gonna come natural to the Williams sisters, and she's got one major so far, right? She's got was that a U.S. Open title?
US Open. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to win. If you're gonna win one, that's a
Right.
good one to win. So hey, and let's get to this guy while we are waiting to get to basketball.
We're talking about baseball here. And that I said something was sort of like misleading. The idea is Rob Manfred has met with the guy that's was elected in November, who's in the White House, and he is considering, or so he says, considering lifting the lifetime ban for Pete Rose.
I thought I read tonight though. They said no, we're not doing that.
Well, they said no for now, but he said he's still considering it. But my thing is this: he's already had a lifetime ban.
Yeah.
So,
So should he go to the Met Gala though?
yeah. Oh, Pete Rose could go to the Met Gala. He was one of the greatest hitters of all time.
Yeah.
Granted, he wouldn't have probably been caught dead there, but he's I think he should have been in the Hall of Fame, given all the people who are in there for other malfeasance. You have virulent racists, you have steroid users, you have all these other people.
Yes.
He gambled, and now you got gambling rampant in sports.
I know, right? That's crazy.
That's the thing. How do you explain that now? You got a fan do thing running across the screen. You're talking about, well, Pete Rose gambled on sports, so we're not going to let him in the league. I mean, that's
I just don't get that. I don't get that at all.
But Tim, just as a player, initially I thought this dude is a hot dog.
Right.
I really thought that's just how he played, man.
He just played hard. He played really hard all the time, and
that's just
got a chance to. When he was being recruited, when he signed with the Phillies, he was being recruited by the Braves, And at that time, I was an intern at CNN Sports. And so Ted brought him in one night to just look around the place. He always tried to recruit by bringing athletes in there at night. He brought in Dave Winfield one night, brought in Pete Rose one night. You know, it's like, you know, this could be part of what you'll be a part of. But Rose is a real personable dude. He didn't have a problem talking to folks while he was there. So I'm sorry they didn't get him, but you know, his Braves pockets were not that deep, or they were just so sorry that he couldn't see him spending the rest of his life down there at that time.
Were they able to pass that test of finding their seats in the stadium or no?
Pete didn't have to find a seat in a circular stadium. He was on the field.
I'm sorry, can't let it go.
I know,
Pete.
That's such a great story. I'm sorry, go on.
No, Pete was a good guy. He should be in the Hall of Fame, irrespective of what he's done. He is one of the greatest ball players of all time, and to keep him out of it when all these other cats are in there and did it the wrong way. I mean, there's some dudes. I mean, it's the Hall of OK right now. I still look back at Scott Rowland going in this year. I believe he's going in this year. I don't see how he compares to some numbers of some other guys. And I have an extra line because I got to do Dale Murphy back-to-back MVPs for the Braves when they were just garbage, and he can't smell the Hall of Fame. So
Murphy should be in the Hall of Fame too. But
absolutely.
was Pete clearly had talent? I mean, what made him talented? What made him so great? I mean, he wasn't outrunning everybody. The physical tools just weren't. He wasn't Dave Winfield when Dave Winfield stepped into the spot. Right.
But you see, back in the day when Dave Winfield and those guys playing, this is one thing about you see in baseball. There are no average brothers in Major League Baseball. There are very few of us as is, but there are no guys that are just good for the team taking up a roster spot. Brothers gonna have to hit or pitch or run or something. They can't just be taking up a uniform. You know, you always see with these guys talk about somebody's the life of the clubhouse and that kind of stuff. There are no life of the clubhouse brothers. You have to be excellent in what you do in baseball. And for American-born brothers, because you'll find all kinds of guys from the Caribbean, and there's a vast difference in the two. And I think that and that's a shame that baseball isn't as strong as it is in America, and a lot of that has to do, I guess, with how expensive it is to play in all these travel teams and things. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
But see, with Pete, he didn't have any of that. And this guy just worked hard. You could see him working hard all the time on his craft. Before the game, you watch batting practice with these guys fielding the balls, and not everybody would take the ground ball and stuff, but Pete would be out there doing it. So if you see a superstar doing it, you doggone well better be doing it yourself.
So not to, rain on the back in my day moment of it, but don't you think that baseball players are not getting as much attention? It's not as sexy as basketball or football. For young kids to look at, who do they see? You don't have any superstars, I guess, that kids are, are they paying attention to it, first of all?
Well,
I know it's expensive playing, but is it?
I don't think they got a relative experience person, because who's the best baseball player in the world right now?
I don't know.
Ohtani. It's right. Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, yeah, Asian. That guy. Yes.
Yeah, he's Asian. Okay. I don't think there are kids up there, that is a barrier for some people.
Well, despite the fact that he's Asian, but I think like people looked at Hank Aaron, they looked at, Willie Mays, they looked at Pete Rose, they looked at, players they wanted to be like. So maybe that was part of the draw, but there's so much, I think, grabbing at people's attention.
Absolutely. You don't ever see kids outside.
Otherwise, beyond sports, that they're not
video
really.
games, Video games
Yeah.
have taken a big part of that.
But you know what? You mentioned Hank. I got to see Hank play a lot because in Nashville, we got the Braves games. But
Mhm.
Willie Mays,
Yeah.
he was almost mystical because you didn't get the Giants games every week, and they were on the West Coast. But if you were a kid like me, you were reading about him. You didn't have 5 games on every night.
See,
The
reading
radio,
is fundamental.
there's a radio broadcast and
Yeah.
all that.
But he
So
played in New York.
you know what, Tim? I'll come to you.
Mhm.
I bet I didn't see Willie Mays play 20 games from start to. I mean, because he just wasn't on that much. The
Right.
Giants may have gotten to the playoffs a couple of times, but they didn't win a World Series when they went out there.
Right. Well, he started
But
in New York,
I knew he was great.
and then he ended his career in New York on a really awful note. It's
Right? Yeah.
you
So,
see him there because he was like an old man out there stumbling in the outfield. I never saw Mays play games at the height of his career because I had a tiff with a New York friend, and I thought Andrew Jones of the Braves was the greatest defensive center fielder I'd ever seen. He was he's outstanding. But the cats who are from New York saying, well, Willie Mays was the best. I didn't see Willie Mays at his peak. I saw Willie Mays as he broke down dude, missing fly balls, playing for the New York Mets. And I didn't see him I saw him play once in his height. My first ever Braves game was a Braves and Giants game. And Hank was playing first base, and Willie Mays got a walk. So you got this image. I wish I had a camera.
you didn't have your cell phone with you? No.
Let me ask this. So let me ask you guys both this. So who introduced you to sports? Was it a dad or a cousin or brother or family member? And so, if somebody brought you to sports, who's bringing today's kids to sports where they're interested in it? Because you've got to have someone who's like my dad took me to Braves games. It didn't necessarily stick, but I still love the Braves. But Tim, you said you went with your family, despite your fact that you couldn't find your way around the stadium. Ricky, somebody brought you, but somebody brought you to sports, right?
Yeah.
So who's bringing kids today to
That's a great
not
question.
just basketball? I think they rely on what they see on TV, social media. We didn't back in the day. We didn't have that. So someone would have had to bring you to that. So if they're not fathers or mothers or brothers or sisters or cousins, bringing them to sports, they're only relying on what they see.
Right.
And what you see, I think, more often is basketball and football, maybe soccer, because there's a lot of soccer leagues for kids.
So I was made to play. I wasn't, you said to introduce to brought to. I was made to play.
Okay, you were brought to it.
You will play football. You will play these sports because, when you miss the ball, it hurt. And that wasn't.
So you were told you're going to be involved. So Ricky, who told you that you're going to be involved with sports? Your dad, right? For golf, yeah. So who's bringing kids to sports that are outside of football, basketball?
Right.
Who do they look up to?
Tree, that is a terrific question.
I'm out.
I don't know.
Kids have video games. I just never see kids in the street playing ball. I never see them doing anything outside. It's always indoors.
It's hard out there on the streets, right? And again, the expense of
baseball's expensive. Basketball's the cheapest sport you got.
Yeah, and neighborhoods are diverse, and so it's different. And I don't know if you'll ever get back to that, perhaps. But somebody brought people or made people go to participate in sports. I think there are a lot of soccer leagues.
Well, that's the thing now, because all the talk about concussions and stuff, people are, afraid of football. They go to soccer. And what I understand, soccer has greater incidences of concussion.
Right.
So
hey,
gotta run away from it.
Yeah, I mean, did you guys involved your kids in sports, right?
Right.
And Ricky, you did, and so all girls in my family. So nobody was playing sports. I just happened to go to the Braves games with my dad. I don't know if anybody else went, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's too bad because those are great memories and great relationship. In my family now, everybody in my family, probably to their great despair most of the time, they're all Lions fans. Every year, I go to a Lions game with my daughter and my son. And lately, they've been winning, so it's been better. But we go. That's just a tradition.
Yeah, so you have these family traditions, and so like I went away. My sisters are crazy about UGA, and so I didn't. I knew about the Vince Dooley show, but that's about the extent of my knowledge of UGA and UGA football. So I go to North Carolina because I was crazy about what's my guy Phil
Ford for Carolina.
Phil Ford. That was my reason for wanting to go to the state of North Carolina because I was crazy about Carolina basketball. I liked basketball. And so I think that there's got to be something that sparks someone in each child if they want to participate, or they're influenced by a family member to do that. Nobody's influencing me to go to North Carolina about basketball.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can. Let's see if I can get this. I want to take us back to the Met Gala right quick. If I can.
There's more?
I just saw something popped on my screen. Let's see. Come on now. Let's see. Get it right, Ricky. Get it right, Ricky. Get it right.
Get it right. Get it right.
How about that?
Oh, I loved it.
I mean, well, I hope she didn't have to go to the restroom. Wow, this show was
now look at that. That's a suit. I didn't see it when I was watching it, live. But when I did, go back and look.
That's Monet.
Janelle Monet.
Janelle Monet. Okay, I thought you was an athlete. I'm like, that looks like Janelle Monet. I'm like,
no, I love it. So like the jacket is a suit. I mean, just the artistry and the design, the thought that goes into that. Yeah.
So is that a dress?
That's a coat, and then she's got a monocle that's like a clock, and it's ticking around her eye. And I haven't delved into the rationale behind the whole look and the reason for it. But again, everything is personal when they work with their designers. But that I loved it. Yeah.
That it is. That's
different.
Now you know what? I like the brother who's standing behind her.
That's a designer, I believe.
He is sharp himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot who the
familiar there.
Yeah, I mean, just think. I mean, a lot of it is art. I mean, think about fashion is art, and so that was super awesome. But thank you for sharing that one. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we should be. Hey, Tim, can you check with? I guess. Make sure she got her invite. I said it to her a couple of times.
I see a text from her as we speak. It says, I'm running a few minutes behind. I will jump on as soon as I get. And she said 7 minutes behind. So we guess it's going to be in 3 minutes.
We are anxiously awaiting her arrival because I love when she's on and gives her perspective. Yeah, super awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, you didn't like the Janelle Monet outfit?
Yeah, that was cool. that was cool. It definitely different.
I think it's easy to judge on face value, but when you dig into why people, Tim, what's that look on your face? But when you dig into what they were thinking and why, sometimes it's about a family, their homage to a family member. But Tim is giving me this side eye look. What's up?
There was no side eye. I looked down. I was writing down the word homage.
Sure.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure. That was
when I was working every day, I definitely took pride in what I wore to work, especially on game day. I mean, back then, most of the brothers were always in suit and ties.
Yeah.
Or,
And that
or
killed because
sweaters,
you
jackets.
know, Roscoe was always cleaning in the board of health, and it
Yeah.
bled over to other brothers. Chuck Johnson, I'm thinking of guys like that. You know,
And D
these
lived
guys-
with his bow ties. So I mean, you know, you think about
Both
all of that.
Yeah,
yeah.
And-
And agree with
and-
her or whatever.
D-Lane is always in a suit and bow tie for every
Yes.
Falcon game,
Yeah.
bar none. He's not a slob, you know.
Okay.
So we need to bring him back on. We should have had him as well on here to talk about style, see what his thoughts are. I'd be curious.
And let me give an update here on game 2. The Cavs are up 119-112 with under a minute to go. They lost game 1 the other
I
night.
think didn't all the home teams lose in the first round? First game, rather?
Yes.
Because who's the second game tonight? Is it Minnesota?
Well, it was three. It was 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Cavs lost.
Right,
Boston lost last night,
right.
and we got the other games.
And that's
OKC
why I'm so
lost.
tired every day
OKC lost. Yeah.
because of these
What'd you
late
say?
games. So that's why
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
always tired,
yeah.
staying up late watching games.
But last
Hey,
night
well-
was what?
But before we get to that, one of the NFLs, I got to get this brother in here because Tim
He means
is
so much to you.
Who
is a
that?
place kicker.
Oh no.
This guy is probably is he the greatest of all time, Tim?
Justin
You're
Tucker
right.
is the best field goal percentage of all time of any kicker. After 13 seasons, the Ravens let him go. Well, they
What?
released him, and they said it was a football decision, but we know better.
What's the reason?
Yeah.
49 straight field goals.
Well, let me see here. I'm trying to download it, Tim. I mean, I'm trying to get it.
I can't think of a better option.
Okay, what's your rationale? What's the rationale, Tim?
Well, the rationale is this: he's alleged to be a serial person with bad conduct at massage parlors.
Oh,
throughout
that
the,
guy. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 seconds to play.
I think he was banned. He might have been banned from some because of alleged behavior, and it's really unfortunate because this guy, you didn't hear anything ever about him off the field. You always talked about how automatic he was as a kicker on the field, and this right here, Baltimore needs a field goal to win the game, and he has to kick a 66-yard field goal, the longest one in NFL history.
I remember that. Yes.
And Tree, dude had made 49 straight. I mean, that is utterly ridiculous. He had
Well, maybe
made-
the massages helped him.
Absolutely.
yeah,
But whatever he's alleged to
Yeah.
do was not very
Ricky-
helpful to him or
Ricky?
anyone.
yes,
Well, Kim just asked, did you send the link?
yes, yes.
Okay.
I will reset. I'll
And
reset.
text again says, got it.
She says she
And
got
she
it.
says she has it. And that was a 66-yard field goal that hit the crossbar and dunked over to win
Oh,
the
I
game.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And
And
But
that's probably
here's
the
the
highlight of
thing.
his career.
And this is when my beloved Lions were off to a 0-10 start in Dan Campbell's first year. And they were actually playing good football, but they did not know how to finish games. And they finally got it together. And now they're playing a lot
But
better.
sadly,
Uh,
no more.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of legends, we just talked about one. Let's invite another legend on our show. Our great friend Kim Davis. What's up, Kim?
You guys are so kind. How are you?
Good.
What's
How are
good?
you?
Listen, I apologize for being late. I had committed to go to the Houston Dash, the women's professional soccer team, has a new president, and there was a group putting together a little private dinner for her, and I committed to it, and so that's where I was. And so I committed to them that I will do better at covering women's soccer because I do not.
Thank you.
But I will. As a Black woman, that's not the only reason. The team president, but I told her I will. I'm gonna show
Yeah.
up.
And May, before we start, I just want to say I love the look. The
Thank
glasses, the hair, everything. I love it. Love it.
Always,
you. Always
always.
so Pine Tree. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm glad you're here so we can have some female participation. I feel
Yeah.
like they're ganging up on me, so I need
What?
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Aw,
Kim, you know better than that. You know
not
better.
these guys.
Hey,
Me
Kim,
too.
I want to get right to it because we got a lot to ask you. Watching the Rockets reminded me of watching my beloved Pistons. Young, talented, just couldn't get over the hump
Right.
against a tough veteran team.
So today we had the kind of end of the season interview with Ime Udoka and the GM Rafael Stone, right? We have it every year. And I think one of the things that is fans, especially, and even some media that doesn't really cover the team, got super excited. I mean, look, nobody had the Rockets being a 2 seed on their bingo card this year, right? I thought there'll be a play-in or maybe a low seed. I thought definitely they'd be in the postseason. I didn't think 2 seed. Let's be honest about it. They got in. I thought they matched up well with Golden State, and I picked them in 7. However, Golden State, which of course, as a person covering the Rockets for many years, I have a little bit of PTSD about Golden State and Steph Curry. They did what they do. They have experience. And I think that's the thing that was a difference, right? The Rockets had not been blown out. They've been in every game. There were 2 games they should have won, 3 and 4, or at least 3 or 4. You hit 2 free throws, 3 free throws, you win the game. So I was like, they're coming home. They've gotten over the bright lights for the young guys. They can win this game. And then Golden State had the start that it had it. And I said, yeah, it's not a good idea. Not good, because Golden State, you let Steph Curry do what he does. You let Buddy Hield become, breaking records, shooting threes. And Draymond, for as annoying as he is, and I do think he's a dirty player, he does a lot of things right. And you let him come down and hit two open threes. So you're right. They're young. And man, listen, a little X's and O's here. They couldn't handle that zone on either end that night. And it just wasn't their night. And Golden State was a better team. So, but the future's bright. I think that if I'm the Rockets and they don't pay me, so they don't probably care what I think, but I hold tight. I don't go and get a big superstar. I think you hold tight for another season and see what you got and run it back. Have some specific things like this is where we've got to work. They got to obviously work on shooting. They got to work on ball handling. And oh my gosh, you got to hit some free throws and then see where you are next year. But don't go give the farm up for Giannis or Kevin Durant. Don't do it.
I was going to say, I saw that today where they said, do the Rockets need to get Kevin Durant? And I'm going, where has he won except for Golden State? And he had a bunch of people.
And here's the other thing. I mean, yes, he's a closer. Yes, he can shoot. Was he 35-ish? He got a $55 million contract. He's got one extension. He's what? 37, right? That's what I said. 37. He's got a $55 million contract. He's going to want an extension. And I don't think that's what you need with this core. You can't afford Giannis because you're going to have to give up everybody for Giannis. And then here, what do you have? You got Giannis. Who do you have around him? So hold pat. Maybe figure out, listen, they could get lucky and get in the lottery, and then they get the Cooper Flag lottery. Who knows what could happen next week? But I don't think you make any, you don't break up this young core. You do what Oklahoma City did, and you build with what you have.
I agree with the work on free throws. That's kind of my pet peeve. I'm like, get that right? Yeah. And I always think that's going to come back to haunt somebody, or a team when they miss their free throws. Yeah.
You mentioned Oklahoma City. They just stockpiled year after year after year draft picks, but they had a front office that picked well, and that's the thing.
There you go.
Draft picks but if you're picking dogs, it means nothing.
I think for the most part, they picked. I mean, the Rockets. Rafael Stone did a good job with starting with the James Harden trade. In terms of stockpiling picks, they've got picks. The reason Phoenix doesn't have any picks because the Rockets have them. So they've got picks. And they've done pretty well. I mean, listen, they drafted Jalen Green, who I wouldn't give up on him yet. I think he's got a lot of upside. They drafted Amen Thompson, who people are now in love with. Like, oh my gosh, Amen Thompson. They drafted Reed Shepherd, who we'll wait and see if he's really going to be the shooter that people thinks he is. He played 1 year college basketball. He came off the bench. He can shoot it in practice. We'll see if he can do it in a game. But for the most part, I mean, Alfred Şengün was a second round pick? Jabari, Tari Eason. So they've drafted okay. And Cam Whitmore, jury's out. I don't know that I think he's going to be a Rocket next year. I'm not really sure. But I'm not really concerned about their ability to draft. I think they've got to do some things to shore up what they have. And listen, I think Ime Udoka did a great job. But in Game 7, he got outcoached. He just did.
Well, I wasn't speaking to your guys having poor draft pick. I mean,
Are you talking about your team?
I'm talking about anybody else who is not great talent evaluators.
Right.
Which the Hawks are one of them. But it's like the people in Oklahoma City, they had a plan with all those draft picks. They took, they took their lumps, and they were like, okay, we're going to go ahead and get guys who are going to fit our system, and they do it well. They're the blueprint right now for what an NBA franchise should look like.
Listen, when we talked to Fred Van Fleet the other night after the game, he said, when I came in for my free agent meeting a couple of years ago, we talked about this plan. It wasn't a short term. It was a long-term plan. It wasn't a quick fix. And so he knew what he was coming into. Ime said that again today. And listen, they had won 22 games 2 years ago. They won 41 last year and 52 this year. They're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to ask you about Jabari Smith. He did not play a lot in this series.
I can't give you a good reason for that. I think that was a missed opportunity by the Rockets. And we would ask Ime about it because he really only went 8 deep in his rotation. And like, are you going to play more people, coach? And he was like, well, I'm not married to the 8-man rotation. But then again, he was. I don't know what that was, because especially when they went big with Adams and Şengün, and then you bring in Jabari, it just worked. I don't know why he didn't get more minutes.
Yeah, and you were talking about drafting the NBA draft now. I mean, if you're not in the top 10 picks, I mean, sometimes top 5, everybody else is the same. Well, you drafted 6
right.
of 46.
They basically been the 4 of us, right?
It's us and then the other ones, the others.
And
some other people.
Like the NFL, and I do want to get to the NFL, but quickly, your thoughts on the playoffs overall, Kim, and have you had a chance to really look at some other stuff? Because I know you've been so busy with the Rockets.
I have been. Yeah, I mean, I watched that Pistons team. I was pulling for them, because I've had a chance to. Well, my friend Cody's there covering them, but pulling for them and Bickerstaff. I have watched it, and the Denver Clippers series was interesting to me. I like Russell Westbrook. I'd like to see him win. Since the Rockets are out, I'd like to see. I got a chance to know him when he was in Houston, and he works hard. He plays hard. I think he continues to mature. The way he has given them what they need and not gone into what we've seen from him before, it shows growth and maturity. And so I applaud that. I don't know what happened tonight in the Minnesota game because I've been at a dinner, but I have been watching the Knicks and Boston. Oh my goodness. I still think Boston wins that series, right? Yeah. But what a start for the Knicks.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned Bickerstaff. He was in Houston, correct?
He was in Houston. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think about him, and I think about Atkins, who just won Coach of the Year with Cleveland. And it goes to show you, it isn't so much the coach alone as it is the players that the coach has.
Absolutely.
Because Bickerstaff didn't all of a sudden become a great coach. He was good in Houston.
Right.
And Atkins got fired with the Nets.
Right. And Steven Silas was not as bad as he seemed in Houston. Right? And people are like, oh man, good riddance. Ime, he's so great. Well, Ime got some players. He got some veterans, right? And so, It does matter. If I had a vote, which I don't, I would have voted for Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year. I think, what were they, 28 games better than they were the year before?
Well, they lost 28 straight last year.
They lost 28 straight last
They
year.
won 14 and won 3 times that many this year.
Right.
So, pretty
Like,
good.
so last year, the Rockets had, the turnaround they had was the biggest, like, gain in wins that any team had. I would have voted for Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year. But there's something about those Cleveland coaches. Like last year, the first year that D'Amico was here, I thought he should have been Coach of the Year, and they gave it to Stefanski. They like those Cleveland coaches. I don't get it.
Well, they're probably not liking them tonight because they just lost
Yeah.
21-19. Halliburton hit a 3 at the buzzer. To win
So
the
they
game.
lost both their home games.
They lost both.
Well, they were, but you kind of knew it because the way the coach was talking about it, they had a couple, 2 or 3 players that didn't play, right?
Garland didn't play.
Right.
They were down 2 starters tonight.
And see, it's really hard for me to even try to think about rooting for Indy after Halliburton's dad came up and got in Giannis's face.
Wow.
Yeah.
That could have been a whole other situation with a different player, right?
And I'm thinking it's like it is a blessing
Yeah,
for that man that Giannis respected his elder
right.
and did not take him out. Because Giannis was very respectful, even in the press conference, very
He was.
respectful.
He was very
So,
respectful. And I thought that his son, Halliburton's son, handled it well. He said, listen,
Yeah.
my dad was wrong. I'm going to
Mhm.
talk to him. And the patient said, well, you can talk to him at home because you ain't going to talk to him after the game.
Yeah.
But it made me concerned about safety because I'm thinking
Absolutely.
that if his father can come out, who else can come out and
Very
just
good point. True.
address, in a negative way? I'm like, so what's any security for that?
I was
Well,
surprised
one
they
thing
didn't
the
have that
security
coach.
did know him. They were saying he's
Yeah,
a-
but still, you
Yeah,
know people, but
yeah,
do you really
yeah,
know
I
them?
mean, that was pretty easy getting out there.
Yeah.
That is a concern. Kim, talk to us about. Go back to the draft a little bit. What did you think about Shedeur going so late in the draft? That seems to be the big story.
So I was surprised that he slipped to 5. So I'm going to start with that. I was surprised that he slipped to 5. But I'm also going to say this. I think that Shedeur and Dion had a hand in him dropping. And I do think that the league was probably trying to say, yeah, no, we don't do it like this. I mean, if you guys have covered the league and there is a process. You can't not work out for certain teams and say, I'm going to do this and I am the brand. You just can't do it, right? I just think
Be
that
humble.
that's wrong. You just can't do it. And I was surprised at 5. I think the guy Gabriel that the Browns took ahead of him, I thought he was a better player than him. And but I did, as a couple personnel guys I know, one in particular that I talked to, and he said, Kim, I like the kid. He's a good kid, but you can't come into an interview as a quarterback and not be prepared, right? That position is too important for us because basically we're turning the franchise over to you, and you're the face of the franchise. It's just super important because you coming in, and he said, coming in not prepared, because I don't think he's not a smart kid, but he wasn't serious enough. And to not be prepared at that moment, to me, it says you're not ready, because those are the things that you have to do. And so people say, well, they were putting him in his place. You gave him a chance to do that, right? I hated it for him, but maybe it's the best thing for him because now he can just focus on playing football and work on the things he needs to do to be a really, really good football player. Listen, he also had the benefit of Travis Hunter. Let's not forget about that. But little things like you weren't invited to the Heisman. Why are you on the front row? Like all of those things matter. I'm pulling for him. I'm covering the draft. I thought at the Texans at the stadium every day. I'm like, are we serious right now? I wasn't surprised that he dropped out of the first round. Just because when I'd heard some of the reports back on just some of the things that he didn't do great, I said he could drop, but he could go early second round. I definitely didn't think 5th round. So,
well, the primary thing I was reading today, and it really shocked me, but I understand the 5th round now. before, you always we gravitate toward collusion and racism and whatever else.
Right.
But I understand the New York Giants had him interviewed him, and they gave him the installation, and they put some bad plays in there, and he didn't pick him out, and and he got upset that they okie doked him and put bad plays in there, and the interview went downhill from there, as if they were supposed to give him all the answers. He should have been able to pick it out, and they said it just devolved after that because he was acting as if they were recruiting him. He was being recruited as opposed to him in a job interview.
And so, I appreciated that about Brian Dable, who explained or who shared the experience. It wasn't just this unnamed source who said all these awful things about him, right? I think some of that, if you can't put your name on it, it's not that important. But to say that, I think gives you a sense that, listen, because that's what's expected. Like, that's not something they don't do for any other quarterback. And when the first player chosen in the draft is a black man, right, Cam Ward, as the quarterback, we can't really say is collusion. But what happened when Cam Ward, who's from the Houston area, returned back from Houston? I see him getting off the private Titans jet with his playbook in his hand. That is the mindset that they want.
That's what they want to say. Absolutely. And we just got a couple of more minutes here, Kim. First of all, let our viewers know where they can follow you. And this young lady is on the case, always insightful. How can they get more Kim Davis?
So you can follow me on Twitter at Kim Y Davis, or whatever it's called. I call it Twitter. I think it's X. Instagram at Kim Y Davis Media, and you can follow me at Kim Y Davis on YouTube, and you'll subscribe, and you'll get notifications about my show. I'm excited to tell you that my first book is done. I just had to have a few things tweaked with the formatting, but my launch date maybe June 1st, if they can get it right. Yeah,
fantastic.
And we all get autograph signed copies, right?
Absolutely. I used to tell people, if you're not signing a check, don't sign it for me. But I'm happy to sign it. It is. It's taken me a really long time to write it.
What was it about, Kim?
So the name of the book is Sports My Love Language. ... It's complicated, and it's really my journey in sports and media. But the reason it took me so long to write it, because I couldn't just write this book like, hey, here's my life. I'm not really wired that way. So it is a little bit of my journey, but in each chapter, I give lessons from the field. I want to give people something that you don't have to be in sports, but whatever it is, right? Because I think sports, it's a microcosm of society. And so things that you have to do to, breaking glass ceilings, starting over, creating something, whatever that is, I hope people can get that from some of the stories I tell, but I give them lessons from in every chapter. So
I love that. Let me ask you this quick question before we go. We were talking earlier about who brought us to sports. And so, so who brought you to sports? Was it a dad or a
It was my father.
Yeah.
And so let me just tell you, I was a great football player as a child. I was a quarterback. I used to get the uniforms every year with the pads and everything. And I was going to be an NFL quarterback until I was 12. And my father sat me down and said, now you're getting too old, big, whatever the right thing is to play with the boys. It's never going to happen. And on the other hand, my mother made me go to charm school and take etiquette classes, which I thought was ridiculous. But I realized as an adult, she was giving me balance. My father's like, listen, if you're going to football practice, you've got to go take these charm school courses or whatever it was. And so it was my father that I just, I was an Astros buddy as a kid. We watched golf. I grew up listening to sports talk radio and reading Sports Illustrated. So yeah.
I love that. The juxtaposition of, your mom's influence and then your dad's influence. And that's just
right.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
But you're also a great athlete. You played tennis.
I did. I played tennis. That was my collegiate sport. And I played at Texas A&M. Grew up on the courts in McGregor with Zena Garrison, who's one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. And my tennis career was cut short when I got injured at the Letterman picnic at Lake Somerville, when 3 guys from the football team and the janitor from that dorm, I don't know why he was there, threw me in the lake.
Hindsight, what?
they threw me in the lake, and my ankle hit the embankment and shattered. So I had a pinnace plate and 4 screws in my left ankle. That was it.
Oh, Kim, I'm sorry to hear
But look
that.
how you turned out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you guys were
Hey,
kind.
stop it.
Yes,
And
yes.
just quickly before we go, I had a tennis question. We all kind of talked about it. Your thoughts on how Coco is progressing in her career? We were talking about the Williams sisters and the Met Gala and all that, and the bar that's set, and we all, most of us pull for Coco. Where do you see her right now?
So huge, obviously, Coco fan, like a lot of what she's done. And she got kind of where she, Zena and I used to say, yeah, by the time she's 21, like she gets a Grand Slam. Well, she did it a little sooner. And so I think she's on a pretty good trajectory. But also it's key who you have around you. And I'm kind of looking at that, right? Like the Brad Gilbert thing, I wasn't super excited about that for her, but she's tenacious. She went through a little period last summer that I was like, don't do it, Coco, when she was always complaining, that little stretch, right? But she's still growing, but she's a fighter. She won't quit. And the issue is you get to really see how a tennis player is going to progress and perform once there are really expectations. And so now we're going to see that, right? We saw it with Osaka. We saw it with Sloane. She wins a Grand Slam, and now people are expecting you to win. And then what happens? It's that pressure that so many of them don't handle. I think Coco's built to handle it, and we just have to give it a little more time. But she's got a bright future. I like her a lot.
Will we ever see Osaka back to the level she was performing at?
I don't know. She won something this week, but listen, Zena said something many years ago. She got to be number 4 in the world. She was in the top 10 for 10 years. And she said something a few years back. She was doing some work with Serena. She used to do a little bit of coaching with her. And she said, being number 1 is so much more than tennis and what it requires. She said, I never wanted to be number 1. I wanted to be really good, being in the top 10, being in the top 5. She said, but I didn't want to be number 1. I was an introvert and all of the stuff that it requires of you. And so I say that to say, I don't know what it is that Naomi Osaka wants. I see how she moves, and I'm not real sure it's to be the number 1 player in the world. She's a champion, right? She's won a Grand Slam, but, especially now, you look at, when I think about all of the things that Serena did as a champion off the court and still had to perform on the court. So I don't know about Osaka. I'm not sure. I'm just glad she didn't drop like Sloane did, but I'm not sure if we'll ever see her back at that top level. If she wants to be, she can.
Okay. Well, my sister, always a pleasure having you on and getting some of your wonderful insights. And hey, check your email. I got a couple of questions for you off the air. I'll be sending it out to you. But
Awesome.
We're going to get out of here. For my great friend Tree McDougal and Tim Turner, our special guest Kim Davis, I'm Rick Hampton. Peace.
All right. Be kind, everybody.
See you guys.